In this week's Natural Gardening Live, I've got 3 tips to help you get more from your garden in the spring. So the added bit to these 3 tips, they're not any old practical time-saving tip. They're going to reduce the work, cost, and stress involved in garden care in the new year, in the new growing season, should I say, not just the new year. So these 3 tips are kind of the core of my approach in my consultation side of my business. I aim to help you get more from your garden and to have your garden require less from you, get more and do less, basically, from your garden. So these 3 tips help you make changes to your garden and to the way you look at your garden and you garden yourself to help you to get more from your garden and make it easier for you. Hello and welcome to this week's Natural Gardening Live. With me, Josie Rainbird, your natural gardening coach. I hope you're doing fantastically well on this beautiful, not so beautiful, autumn day. It's rather wet and windy outside today. My blinds are closed. I'm not letting the weather in. It's lovely, to say the least. Let me know how it is where you are. Judgment. This may be triggering for some people, so apologies. Is there an aspect of your garden or gardening that you don't enjoy? As I say, there's no judgments. Have a think. If you think of anything and you want to let me know, write it in the comments for me. So you might be surprised on how many people have got similar thoughts. So yes, let me know in the comments. Is there an aspect of your gardening, or like the way you garden, which you don't enjoy? So let me know in the comments. Every single garden, no matter how close they are together, how similar you might be to another, they will all be different. Every single garden will be different. The soil will be slightly different, the plants will be slightly different, the life in the garden will be slightly different. The character of the garden in general will be different. So we know this. Every single garden will be different in the world. You add to your garden, you change your garden with the character you put in it, your own character, the way you are as a person, that will change the garden. So there's only one of you. That's how your gardens are going to be different. You know, even if you're a twin, your characters will be different. Will reflect the gardener. As I say, even if you're a twin, you've got your own character, you put your character into your garden. The garden will reflect the gardener and the family that it supports, and this should, in theory, return as well. The support should be returned as well. So this is where it can get a bit skewed. This is where I usually step in, so it's good. So this is where it usually gets a bit skewed. With everything that's going on in life, you don't need your garden to be demanding your attention. You definitely don't need it dictating, definitely don't need your life being dictated to by the plants you want to grow. So I know the word dictating is a little bit harsh, but it's the best word I can think of to kind of describe how it makes you feel sometimes. So yes, you get the picture. With these 3 tips I'm going to provide for you in a minute, they have been expanded on as well. With these 3 tips, I want you to know you can start to make changes in your garden and the way that you garden ready for spring. So you can start at any point at all. You can just step in and start making these changes. Absolutely fine at any point. So if you start now, while the garden's starting to go into dormancy, you can get ready for a really cracking spring, start the growing season off with much less effort, cost, stress, which is amazing, and work for you. So you'll get much more out of your garden and enjoy it far more if you just put these into action, or even one of these into action. So these will seem very simple. They do seem very simple if you think about it, but it's a mindset shift more than anything, I think. So yeah, the simplest ideas are actually the ones that we tend to run with and we'll actually action. So simple is good. Don't underestimate the value of simple. The 3 tips we have here will be helping you to get more out of your garden in the spring. So tip number 1 is look at the time you have available. Time you've got available to dedicate to your garden. Realistically, have a look at this time. Now, a lot of people seem to underestimate the amount of time that they've got in a day. I know we've all got 24 hours. I'm not silly. We all have 24 hours, but you tend to try and fit a lot more into those 24 hours than you can actually capably do. And then you tend to feel really like crap about yourself because you can't do it all. This is actually a life thing, not so much a garden thing. But yeah, this tends to happen. It happens with me. It happens. It's life. We tend to try and fit as much as we can in the day. Yes. So realistically, look at the hours you've got to dedicate to your garden. After you have an idea of the time you have free for your garden, even if it's only an hour a week, the smallest amount of time, it's fine. It's fine because you can always grow on it as you develop these 3 tips. As you develop your garden, you can always grow on it. So even if you've got an hour a week, Start to look at where this time goes and then make changes. So that is kind of the basics of tip number 1. So I've got an example. If you've got a container garden or on your patio or in the garden, if your garden's a small garden, it's a container garden on a patio. In the summer, if it takes 20 to 30 minutes, touch extreme, 20 to 30 minutes a day to water it all. This is actually quite realistic for some container gardens. If you're in towns and things and your entire garden is basically a container garden, this 20 to 30 minutes is quite realistic, and it can sometimes take longer. But how can you reduce this time without affecting the health of your plants or your garden, in theory? To help reduce the time your garden demands of you, try not to grow plants which need more time than you have to provide. So I said about this, when did I say? About, and probably in one of my water saving ones, I think it was, videos I did, about looking at your garden, and if you're worried about overwatering or not being able to water too much or saving water, etc., grow plants that don't need so much water. Look at the plants that you grow in your garden and try not to grow the ones that demand time from you, demand care every single day, and need you to titivate them constantly and preen them and deadhead and whatever daily. If you haven't got a lot of time, if you've only got an hour a week, you need plants that are incredibly low maintenance, will look beautiful without you even touching them, and need very minimal care. So this is easier said than done, I understand. And some plants that need minimal care also don't always look lovely. It's kind of, you have to weigh it up to help manage the time that you've got. So that's kind of tip number 1. Look at the time you've got available, and then try and look at where you can make changes. Looking at the time you've got available is the hardest part. You've really got to be realistic, and you've really got to be tough with yourself, because, as I say, we tend to think we have more time than we do, or things aren't going to take as long as they do. So that's tip number 1. Now, a little hint. We talk about this quite often, but supporting the soil in your garden and the ecosystem within your garden will actually help to reduce the amount of time you need to spend taking care of your garden, feeding your garden, watering your garden, all that kind of thing. So this will drastically reduce the amount of time and intervention that you need to put into your garden to keep it happy and healthy. So just saying, little tip for you there. Start looking at the different videos and resources and things I've got about supporting the ecosystem in your garden and soil care, because they will help you no end when it comes to reducing the amount of time that you need to spend in your garden. Then you can use that time better elsewhere in your garden. Tip number 2, I will go through these as well at the end, and I will put them in posts in the group so you can track back and see. How much money do you spend on your garden? No. Have you got a budget? That's more realistic, isn't it? How much money do you spend? Have you got a budget for your garden? The things you spend the most on, and see if there's an alternative, such as making your own feeds out of weeds and stuff in the garden, making your own compost for autumn mulching or potting compost, things like that. Sowing, then planting bulbs over annual bedding plants each year, that sort of thing. Look at where you spend, how much do you spend, and have you got a budget? Look at the things you spend the most on and see if you can find cheaper alternatives. Now, this is like budgeting 101, really, isn't it? Look at what you spend the most on and see if you can find cheaper alternatives. It's a bit more than that. I just tried to make it sound a bit more simple. So, as I say, there's loads of different ways you can save money in your garden by, as I say, making your own feeds, making your own compost, different ways to support your garden using the natural resources. This we know. So, but I just want to let you know that saving money won't help you so much with getting more from your garden, but it will help with, I hate to say it, redistribution of resources. So it will help you to spend the money elsewhere on different things. It will help to save you time as well, because you won't have to go out and buy things constantly. You'll have the resources there. You can batch things. You can batch, if you're making your own feed, you can do batches of it. So you don't have to keep buying stuff, which saves you money. You don't have to keep making things as well. So there's an awful lot you can do to save yourself money. But it doesn't always mean saving the money directly doesn't affect how much you get out of your garden, but it will help you to use the resources elsewhere. So you can spend this money, as I say, supporting yourself. Supporting yourself. I know what I'm trying to say. It's dreadful today. I blame it on the wet weather. So you can spend the money to support yourself more effectively. Look after yourself, your garden, keeping your garden happy and healthy. So this can make your life much easier, improving your garden, adding extras in, which will encourage you to relax and enjoy your garden more. When I say extras, I mean like you can buy use seating for your garden, for instance, to encourage you to sit out in your garden and enjoy it. If you've got containers and you want to replace them, they look nicer, things like that, just little things. But having the ability to save money where you can on the things that you don't really need to spend the money on can allow you to redistribute the wealth, so to speak. And then you can get more out of your garden in other ways. So that was number 2. So far we have got, look at the time you've got available and realistically look at the time you've got available, and then start to make changes. How much money have you got to do you spend? Have you got to spend? Do you spend on your garden? Have you got a budget? So this can lead to saving money, obviously where you can, and then redistributing the resources, the money, the wealth, your budget, so to speak, to help to add things to your garden, to support you more effectively, you as a gardener, you as a person. Number 3, this kind of complements number 1 a little bit, the time part. Look at the tasks you have to do in your garden. Which do you not enjoy? This also goes with the question I asked at the beginning. Look at the tasks you have to do in the garden. Which do you not enjoy or cause you stress, pain, or discomfort? Now, even I have jobs in my garden that cause me stress, pain, and discomfort. Believe me, there are things I would rather not have to do, but sometimes they just do until I find a way around them or manage them more effectively. There are jobs in my garden that cause me strain, stress, pain, and discomfort. Can't talk today. Feeling like this are surefire ways of reducing the positive feelings you have for your garden. We know this. Rapidly reducing the amount of time you want to spend out in your garden and preventing you enjoying the garden you have worked so hard to create. If you don't enjoy working in your garden, if you don't enjoy doing the things in your garden, you're not going to then want to go and sit out in your garden because you're going to constantly be like having this negative feeling towards it. So not good. So tell me, how often do you actually get to relax in your garden? Even in the summertime. Okay, we're coming into autumn, winter. May not be so practical now because most of the days are probably wet and cold coming into, even though we're likely to get a little bit of a warm spell coming up, which is quite nice. But in the wintertime, sometimes it can be nice to sit out in the garden in the winter. So tell me, how often do you actually get to relax and enjoy your garden? Now tell me, how often do you feel the pressure to get out and work in your garden? We all relate to that, I'm sure. If you feel like you can answer those willingly, comment below. The goal should be to enjoy the jobs you do in your garden. You shouldn't feel like they're jobs. They should just be things that you're doing out in the garden as part of enjoying your garden. So this often gets confused, I suppose, and your whole garden experience becomes a chore. So we don't want this. This isn't the aim of the game. It should all be enjoyable and it should all be fun. It should just be nice experience for you. As much as your garden can be hard work, there are ways to prevent this feeling, if you like, from taking over and helping you to reduce the effort and stress involved in garden care. There are loads of different ways that you can actually, depending on what the job is that you're not enjoying or is causing you stress, pain, or discomfort, there are loads of different ways that you can actually make these situations better and help you to improve the positive feelings or grow the positive feelings over the negative ones for your garden. So actually encourage you to feel positive about the jobs that you've got to do in your garden. Now, if you would like to learn more about how you can apply these 3 tips more successfully to your garden, I'm happy to talk to you about this in a one-to-one session. Absolutely fine. We can pinpoint it down to your garden, talk specifically about you and your garden and how you can use these principles to more from your garden in the coming year. Alternatively, you can use these tips that I've given you today and try and apply those yourself to your garden. And if you've got any questions, obviously, I will post these in the group, absolutely. But you are welcome to post any questions you've got underneath the posts, which is fine. And then I'll try and answer them as I go through, absolutely fine. But if you want something a bit more in depth and you want me to actually walk you through it, hold your hand through it, if you like, and really try and help you to overcome these, I want to say challenges. They're not so much challenges as mindset issues. Overcome these, help you get more from your garden, help you to enjoy your garden more and reduce the stress, pain and time and cost involved, the work involved in your garden and garden care, then I'm happy to talk you through this in a one-to-one session. Absolutely fine. I will leave them in the description, and I will leave them in the comments for you so you can find them easily, which is fine. But yeah, always, if you've got any questions at all, feel free to post in the group. Feel free to message me directly. Absolutely fine. I can help you however. So yes, but as I say, there are hundreds of different ways that you can apply what I've said above, and ways that they can help you save time, save money, and save stress and pain and discomfort in your garden. So there's hundreds of different ways, and if you would like me to help you, I can. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask and comment and whatever you want. Let me know if you can. Let me know if there's an aspect of your garden which you don't enjoy, which causes you pain, discomfort, or stress. I do believe there's probably quite a few of us in here that have got something that we don't enjoy about our garden. As much as I don't like to encourage people to talk about things they don't enjoy, it's a part of life. It happens. So I will post that question later on this evening, so you can check that out. And if you can think of anything, comment below. On that note, I will leave it there. I will catch you all later. Have a great day. Enjoy the autumnal weather. And yeah, look out for the posts. See you later.